Such an exciting individual with one of the greatest contributions to aviation and its pioneers. Charles Lindbergh gave aviation the idea to believe. Born to a Swedish immigrant, Charles August Lindbergh, and his second wife, Evelyn Land. From his birth, he traveled with his mom from Little Falls, Minnesota, to Detroit and Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is where his father worked as a congressman. His fascination for aviation led him to gain his pilot license. By 1923, he began brainstorming, and year later, in 1924, he joined the U.S. Army after barnstorming. After that, he graduated in his class and moved on to become the first air-mail pilot between Chicago and St. Louis, Missouri. The airmail routine became tedious. While flying mail, he heard about a plane that had a range of 4,000 miles. The plane was a Wright brothers plane. Charles Lindbergh always wanted to achieve the unthinkable in an aircraft. He heard of the race between New York and Paris with a cash prize for the winner of $25,000. He was excited hearing about this. Since being one of the earliest flyers, he always appreciated challenges. Lindbergh did not have the money to participate in the event, so he had to raise funds. He wanted to purchase the new aircraft for $15,000 with his sponsor picking up the balance of the bill. The sellers of the new aircraft wanted to choose their own pilots, sadly. So to obtain the aircraft was not an easy task. Eventually, a small manufacturer, Ryan Aeronautical Company, offered to build an aircraft for $6,000 for Charles. The aircraft was according to Lindbergh's specs. Some people called it a 2-ton flying gas tank because of what it was made of. All it consisted of was a cockpit and fuel cells. The aircraft was 27 feet long and the wings were 45 feet wide. The engine and its pilots weighed 2,500 pounds and was powered by a 223 horsepower engine and cruised at 4,200 miles. The time was approaching and the media began talking, hearing of Lindbergh's challenge, what he wanted to do. He was challenging himself and just the idea of aviation history. The media presented him as a hero and a daring one to even think about accomplishing this act. Being one pilot, there was little room for error in his aircraft. Several pilots died testing this transatlantic route. Lindbergh flew from California to New York, breaking the last record in under 22 hours. Excited of this, he began preparations for the great infamous transatlantic flight. Lindbergh had the confidence and belief he could do the unthinkable. May 20th, 1927, the weather was not cooperating with Lindbergh. He took off from Roosevelt Field in New York with only 5 sandwiches, thinking if he doesn't make it, he would or would not need these sandwiches. For 33 hours and 30 minutes, he braced the elements and landed at La Bourget Field in Paris, winning the $25,000 prize. Think of this as one of the greatest events in aviation history, if not the greatest events.